Hello everyone, welcome back to Omegon 2. Today we're going to be taking a look at a tweet from a streamer called Denims, an orbiter for Hassan Piker. And I thought, well, I have enough stuff going on the main channel, this can come here. Yes. I have made videos covering Denims because they did a GoFundMe to try and raise funds to take Ethan Klein to court for defamation, of course. And they raised a lot of money of a rather large goal. The goal was $150,000. They had 1.7k donations totaling 46,381 within the space of a week. On Twitter, they got a lot of flack, not least because they had actually changed the description at one point where it said, you know, things will be refunded if we don't do this, to not having this at all, which made it look like one very large grift. Denims on Twitter on May the 14th, so yes, we're a little behind the times, but we'll get to it soon. Reason why anyway, don't you worry. 1 week, 1,692 donations, $48,000 later, I'm refunding the GoFundMe. If and when I go forward as a plaintiff, I will be self-funded. Considering how well Denims has been doing, numbers have gone up since the content cop, and because Ethan has given Denims time, and Denims a pussy, didn't go into the call-in, hasn't really done much that could have actually helped Denims, instead generate controversy which has benefited Denims. This is not a surprise, although I could also believe Denims won't bother pulling the trigger in the first place. Thank you to everyone for proving Ethan wrong. His behaviour is unacceptable and people do care. Not enough of them, but yeah, sure. Proceeding with a defamation suit against Ethan is a monumental undertaking. His suit with Kavanaugh started almost 4 years ago and is still ongoing. I don't want to fundraise to start a fight that I can't finish, and feel like I've let down those who've donated. With that in mind, if this is a journey I wish to undertake, you've written if you go above it. If and when I go forward as a plaintiff, I will be self-funded. Somewhat contradictory, but okay. I will keep you all posted. Sorry, I'll be doing it with my own funds. I should include that part first. I'll be keeping you all posted if anything happens while the statute of limitation runs for the next year. And I'll be elaborating on Stream Friday. There's more to this. Quote, why issue a retraction letter and crowdfund if you weren't serious about your threat? Because attention-seeking cowbag. Now, of course, I should use a different word, but cowbag would get me monetized on YouTube. The other word won't. Starts with W, ends with RE. Has a HO in the middle as well, but I'd rather not go with that too much. She does thirst post a lot. I was and am. If CCC, and then I assume this is Californian law, applies, you must issue a retraction letter within 20 days of the defamatory statement before you can pursue a lawsuit. This is why Ethan was so prompt in his letter to Noah, but has yet to file a suit if he ever actually planned on doing so. No one cares what Ethan does, they care about what you do. I changed my mind about crowdfunding because I realised that I didn't like the money-grubbing narrative. Because you were called a grifter after you edited the description to say you wouldn't refund it. Or the part that said you would refund it, which implies that you won't refund parts that aren't used or any of it, in fact, if it does or does not get through. Normally this wouldn't be an issue, because I could just be transparent with how the money was spent. But over the lengths of time that a lawsuit would span, it isn't realistic, and just doing my best isn't enough for an offensive lawsuit. There are many creators, myself included, who have posted GoFundMe statements or proof of where the money has gone. Dankula is a great example of it. Transparency is key. You think it's effort? I couldn't disagree more. Anyone that is disappointed needs to realise they would have been waiting a very long time for any kind of emotional payout on this anyway, and that it's easier to take my time on this when I'm not being perpetually scrutinised as a scammer. I mean, you're a scammer anyway, but you can go with perpetually scrutinised if you like. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, by the way. You should be scrutinised. Every facet of your being as a creator. When you crowdfund to take another to court for defamation, and then pull back a week later because you realise you're only less than a third of the way towards your goal. To anyone that doesn't care about the money and just wants to see Ethan take the L's, the Kavanaugh suit will end before any potential lawsuit of mine gets off the ground. No one cares, this is all about you. Not to mention, if he does end up filing something against me, it feels strange to crowdfund for a defamation suit and for a defense at the same time, and mixing the funds feels even stranger. This is the cleanest way to move forward. The shorter way of phrasing this is that you're a chicken shit. It's why you turned replies off on this post and the first post after 251 comments. You turned them off because you got a lot of backlash, and the translation, by the way, is that the lawsuit would have gone nowhere. A legal official would have told you that. One of my favourite things I saw was a give, send, go. Denims is not a nice person. Of its $1,000 goal, it's raised $1,065. Got to love that, what do you call it? Appreciation. You Denims can try to downplay this as much as you like. The reality is, a law firm would have told you you have no case. You're a sad sack that first posts onto Twitter because it's the only way you can generate interest in your Hassan Piker Orbiter content. You like to think you're a printable person. Well, let's challenge that now, shall we? Because you've orbited somebody who conclusively lost a debate with Ethan Klein. When it came to the subject of SA, he got destroyed. You defend him. You believe that Hassan annihilated your blind spot in full effect. So it would come as no surprise to anyone that you now want to stand up for victims of this in the online space, because you have a leg to stand on.
The reason for doing something is important and your intentions matter.
Which is why what you're about to say will seem strange, considering you lack a backbone when it came to actually going in on Ethan, because you're more worried about self-preservation, and because, let's face it here, you had no case. Additionally, you actually benefited, like the rest of the Orbiters, from all the criticism he sent your way. In fact, I don't think a single person was negatively impacted in the short term, beyond you all being exposed to being frauds. Although you could argue in the long term, the biggest loser is Ian. Let's see how this plays out first though, just so you can see what my point is.
I didn't do that because I wanted to over Tectone. I did that because I want to uplift voices of women who are sexually abused.
This is something I don't fundamentally believe in the slightest. You see, if you really want to uplift people, surely then you'd want to stand for all peoples who are known to have been victims of these kind of crimes. But I guess when you want to introduce your own set of parameters being a limited scope, you're willing to ignore some of the heinous acts being committed by people you fully support, under the guise of Palestine. Don't forget here, you're an orbiter of Hassan. This meme exists because of the crap Hassan has said. And we all know the only reason you're doing it is because Tectone got a 2-week ban for criticising Frogan by saying she was fat.
And, or mistreated in the content realm. That's my reason for wanting to do that. And I've done this for countless other people.
Yes, everyone, she's one of those activist types. You know, the type that sits there and lectures everyone from a position of authority, but has nothing of substance to back up anything she says. It's another con, another grift, another excuse to make it seem like one is virtuous. I'm going to roll my eyes, because a lot of what motivates Denims is heavily influenced by those she despises. It is never, it is seldom, it is rarely because of good intentions. Everything is done solely as a clapback at others. Oh look, these bad things about Tectone, I can use that now to make money for myself.
There have been so many people over the past 3-4 years of streaming that I have spoken to, that I know have had very traumatic experiences in the space, in the content space, and I've tried to uplift their voices because everybody else is too terrified to ever stand up to some of the pieces of shit on this platform.
Okay, so there are undoubtedly going to be people in the online space who have gone through traumatic experiences. I am not going to denigrate those words at all. But if we're going to employ the logic of one of those you support the most, this meme is going to do its rounds even more. It's going to keep coming up. Many people over the years have been cancelled, as it were, for accusations. Some have been debunked, others haven't. It is not our place as a creator to interfere with what should be a legal process. To think that should somehow invigorate you, I don't know, a justice seeker? You're not an avenger. You're at best just some cowbag in a chair, thinking that you have some right to speak on an issue that you have no place to be. Those people who may well have gone through horrible, harrowing experiences, that may well include SA, go to the police. All of it. If a crime hasn't been committed, then it goes nowhere. But if it has been committed, it goes somewhere. Simple as that. You're trying to act as if people don't call this out. You'll find many of us do. It's why the Destiny subject right now was quite fascinating when it first dropped. It really was. Over the years, many have. You can go back as far as Pyrocynical being accused by an individual called Ivory Rasmus. That caused huge divide because of Google documents seeming a bit peculiar.
The reason Tectone can't sue me is because he did that shit. He literally admitted on his stream that you went to the police.
I know we like to all claim that we're not influenced by the negative experiences of others around us, but you're clearly using your own hate boner for Tectone to justify using that against him. I'm not going to defend Tectone because I don't have to. I can though read a tweet from Tectone from Feb this year. Wanted to give you guys an update on what's been going on, and my lawyer said I could talk about whatever I want as long as I'm telling the truth. So let me tell a couple truths. I heard there was a police report put out on me 11 days ago, but what's strange is I've never been contacted by anyone. They haven't reached out, they haven't come to my house, they've done nothing. They have not interacted with me in any way whatsoever. Something else that's interesting is that content creators who have made videos against me are now deleting their videos and saying they will no longer be talking about me in any shape whatsoever from this point moving forward, even though I've never reached out to them in any form at all. Another truth that I'd love to remind everyone is that you can not put an NDA to cover up any crimes, despite people claiming you can. The Speak Out Act, quote, a non-disclosure agreement cannot cover up a crime. NDAs are not intended to prevent the disclosure of information that is in the public interest, such as illegal activity. A final bit of truth I'd like to reshare once again: I did not do anything wrong, and people who lie, make false allegations, are scum. It's also worth adding that Hassan was the one that dug up claims against Tectone's father. This is being used as an excuse to then try and prop themselves up into relevancy by making it seem like they are removed from this kind of dirt. Terrible tactics employed by those who think themselves superior.
And here's the thing.
Can someone explain to me why these streamers have so many pauses, so much dead air between their sentences? I understand stretching a stream out as long as possible, but this takes the mick, doesn't it now?
If you are admitting that you are being investigated for sexual misconduct, other people are allowed to report on that. And it's not defamation. News organizations wouldn't exist if you couldn't do that.
So there's this thing I believe in called the right to anonymity until proven guilty. The victim, the alleged victim, is allowed this in perpetuity, and in most parts, they kind of get to keep it for the rest of their lives. Because public interest, am I right? When it comes to the claimed attacker, they're put on blast. I don't believe journalists, news outlets should be allowed to cover anything like it for anyone. I don't care who you are, until or unless you are proven guilty. You yourself have mentioned allegation. Therefore, nothing more yet beyond that. One must not act on until they know everything. Covering it is just done to try and harm a person's reputation, and you don't like Tectone. You would solely use it for that reason. To purity test those that watch, gatekeep commentary as a whole. You aren't really a good commentary type. Again, the dead air does you dirty. And it's your own dead air, really, isn't it now?
If I get on stream and say, this guy is literally getting investigated for sexual misconduct, for sexual abuse, that's not defamation.
Oh, I think we both know that's wrong. You see, you're working with an allegation. You're presenting it as an allegation, yes, but because of your own bias, which everyone knows, you will use it, like Hassan has used his father's, Tectone's that is, to try and poison the well. It then can be argued to be a form of defamation. I'm not a legal expert, but I do think there might be something there. Proving your bias isn't overly difficult. Your content does you dirty there as well. I guess you do it to yourself. Maybe you're a masochist. Now with this, with everything we cover, I'd love to know what you think. I know of late I've not been the most active on this channel. For that, I am very sorry. Please don't leave. I like working over here. I really do. I just wish we could be better. Do let me know in the comments down below what you think. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and thank you so much for listening.